the whole time. I've just done 9 seconds. Do you know what? I don't think I'm up to this technology stuff. Should we start again? Welcome to the Old Man Sailing live stream. I did start this at 6 o'clock. It's now 25 past 6. And I'm only now realizing that I hadn't been broadcasting at all. I do apologize. If anybody is still out there, would they care to type in something just to show me that there is an audience? It is most disconcerting if you don't know. Anyway, I will try and repeat what I just said. I'm now in the middle of the Celtic Sea, en route from Ireland to Falmouth for the Ocean Cruising Club summer party. I've got the big fella up and the headsail boomed out, and we're actually doing a respectable, got to be 4 knots, 4.5 even. This is just as well. Most important, this is just as well because I've been becalmed. I've been becalmed for the last 24 hours really. And because I really needed to get there for the party, because last time I didn't, there's one person watching apparently. Can you, one person, post a message? Anyway, it's all been rather exciting because you may recall I wanted to leave a week ago, but things simply weren't ready. And so I was stuck with a launch date of Thursday. The new engine went in on Wednesday instead of going in on Tuesday. Connor, who has the Irish, market for the Nanny Marine diesel, he fitted it all and said it's fine. And then on the Thursday, we launched, and Michael McLaughlin of the McLaughlin Company and his sidekick Kevin came aboard basically to check that the new seacocks didn't leak and we weren't going to sink. So, all being well and good, off we launched. And because we had to go round to the pontoon for them to finish up with all the things that they were doing, they said, well, let's do a little circuit of the river and test the engine. Now, don't forget, they had not installed the engine. They had mended the original engine. And that was before we discovered that they were never going to be able to mend it because it had a cracked block. So we now have a new one. And we went round the river, and the vibration was absolutely terrible. I mean, it rattled your teeth. And so they said, well, let's go on the pontoon because it was getting late. We had other work to do. So we went on the pontoon, and they finished putting in the water tank. The water tank is the big innovation. You see, I've got a water maker, and the water maker is under the starboard berth because it's a small boat and you've got to find somewhere for it. And I reasoned that if I had a water maker, I wouldn't need the water tank that was under the starboard berth. I would only need a water tank under the port berth. And I tried to measure up for it. And what you do is you get lots of cardboard and you stick it together in the shape of the tank. And then you cut it up and you send it off to the tank maker with a little diagram of how they can put it back together again and make the tank as you want it. Well, I tried this. I ended up with a cabin full of cardboard and yards of sellotape sticking to everything. And in the end, I went to the boat yard, can't remember the name, Robertson's. Is it Robertson's? Anyway, in the Isle of Wight. And said, look, you're going to install the water maker, you measure the water tank, then if it's wrong, you'll have to order another one. Well, obviously they were going to be, a little bit cautious. They wouldn't want to pay for 2 water tanks. So what they did was to measure for a very small one. It's only 55 litres. And, you know, that's really not big enough, but it was what I was stuck with. And then along comes Michael and says, you've got plenty of bags of room behind the engine, you could put a water tank in there. So he climbed in there with lots of cardboard and measured up and designed a water tank of 110 litres capacity. So basically double what I got already. So instead of having 55 litres, I've now got 165. It was fantastic. I can actually use the water maker as it's supposed to be used, which is running it once a week or so. I mean, up to now I've been running it every day, and then every 3 days I've been flushing it with water that it has already made, because the flushing of a water maker is terribly important. Because what you're doing is you're putting seawater through membranes, and the membranes are so fine that they won't allow a salt crystal or a salt molecule even to get through. And when you've done that, you then have to wash them with pure fresh water to get rid of all the impurities and what have you. Otherwise bugs will start to grow. And you're supposed to do this after every use. Well, if I was running it every day and I only had a tank containing 55 litres, then every day, if I flushed it, I would actually be using up most of those 55 litres in the flushing process. So it was agreed that I could run it every day and then flush it every third day for 45 seconds instead of the normal 2 minutes. And that's what I've been doing. And it's not perfect. So the idea of having enough water to run it once a week and flush it for the full 2 minutes was very attractive. So that's what I did. And so we got the water tank in. And then there was just all this vibration. And Michael made a video of the vibration, which he then sent to Connor, who had installed the thing. And between them, they agreed that the engine was out of alignment and that Connor would come down the following morning, that would be the Friday, and sort it out. At this point, I said, no, I just sort of got on my thing. And because the thing about sailing is that if you wait until the boat is absolutely ready, and you are absolutely ready, and you've got every last little thing, you will never leave. It's happened time and time again. And so what I do now is I build in a lot of slack time, which can be taken up, but eventually I end up against the departure date. And on that departure date, I leave, ready or not. And of course, I never am ready, but I still go. And I complain all long and hard about not having enough tea bags or whatever it may be. And on this occasion I said, no, I'm going. I am going at 6 o'clock to catch the tide out of the river. Well, Michael wasn't at all happy about this. And he sort of gave me the serious talk like, garage mechanics give people. So it was agreed that I would go and I would keep in touch and we'd see how it went. And I motored down the river and the engine vibrated horrendously. I mean, there were things in the mast that were rattling I've never heard before. Back teeth, you could feel them juddering. Something was clearly wrong. Anyway, what I reckon was that as soon as I got to Falmouth, I could have somebody look at it. And at this point, Connor sent the video of the spinning shafts to Peachman, who made the engine, and supplied it at a very, very good price, because I've been dealing with them for years, and obviously I thought I might say something nice about them. So I'm pleased to do that. Anyway, the guy at Peachman looked at it and said, what's this sucking great tank doing there? And they said, well, so we just installed the water tank. Well, so that's your problem, isn't it? How big is it? Well, it's 110 litres. 110 litres? Litre of water weighs a kilo. Does it? I never knew that. 110 kilos plus the weight of a great big stainless steel tank, and you're planting it right on top of the stern gear. You bent the hull. You forced the hull out of alignment, out of shape. The way he was talking, I thought the bottom was going to drop out of the boat. And I said, are you sure about this? And the guy said, I'm absolutely sure. He said he had known instances where boats were up on the hard, and they were propped up not correctly, and the hull would flex, and then you wouldn't be able to open doors inside the boat. Well, I couldn't see that happening to Samsara. I mean, this boat was built in 1973, before they even knew how strong fiberglass was going to be. So they built them like tanks. Well, that's what I said. I built them like tanks. That caused all sorts of confusion about tanks with guns on top and water tanks. And so I said, no, all right, start again. This boat was built like a brick shithouse. Everybody now understood me. And I don't believe that at all. But the man at Peachman thought that was the obvious solution. Well, that's a big thing. What are we going to do? Take out the water tank? You know, has this flexing of the hull permanently misshapen the hull? Is it never going to be in alignment? I don't know. Anyway, the next thing that happens is I have a conversation with Michael, and he said that when he spoke to Connor, showed it in the videos, Connor agreed that it wasn't anything like that. It was simply the engine was out of alignment, and more importantly, there's a slightly flexible part between the engine and the propeller, which is been installed back and front. So what's going to happen now is that Beachman has leaned on Rustler Yachts of Falmouth, and obviously there's some leverage there, and they're running around to accommodate me. So I've got to be there on Monday, and we'll sort it out. Unfortunately, it does mean that if I'm going to be at Rustler's on Monday, I'm not going to be going up the river to the pub at Malpass in the dinghies with all the other Ocean Cruising Club people. But I think we could say that some things are more important. So we've got to get that fixed. And then straight after Falmouth, I'm off to Poole. In Poole, I meet my friend Patrick, who it's a bit of a tradition where I'm going on a long trip. He comes down with his camper van, and we have 16 pints and a curry. And then the Crusader Sales people, Mike Lease, who built the mainsail for me. Actually, it was only about 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm not entirely sure it's good for 15,000 miles. He thinks it should be. Anyway, he's going to come and look at it, and we will know for sure. After that, back to Ireland and buy a lot of food. Ready for the off, because the off is only just over a month. Or my watch doesn't work, so there's no point in looking at that. But I think it's just a few days over a month before the off. Getting rather exciting, and it would be very, very convenient if we didn't have anything else go wrong. But you can never rely on that. So that's me up to date. 2 other things to mention. People said they like the sunglasses. Now, I don't agree. I think these are horrible because they're those reflective ones, what the Americans call cop shades. You look at somebody like this and you just see yourself. Sure, that's not what's supposed to happen. But I'm so short of sunglasses that I'm stuck with them. The other thing is that I did mention in a video there was a slight possibility of Oakley or Ray-Ban sponsoring me to wear their sunglasses and giving me lots and lots of money. And, you know, I said this in a sort of slightly jokey way, although I wouldn't turn it down. And heavens above, the reaction was amazing. And people saying, typical influencer, money grubbing, you know, people saying, I'm unfollowing you. The greatest insult to be unfollowed. Do you think it's worse to get divorced or to be unfollowed? Anyway, I said, oh, it's all right, I'm not going to ask for any money. But I do need sunglasses. And I found a little company, somebody recommended them, called Waterhall. And they're in Cornwall, in Newquay in Cornwall, so Falmouth is just around the corner. And what they do is they go around the beaches of southwest England and they collect discarded fishing nets and grind them up, I suppose, and turn them into sunglasses and various other bits and pieces. And what they've offered is they're going to give me a couple of pairs of sunglasses. I'm going to buy another 4 at half price, so I'll have half a dozen pairs. And no money is changing hands apart from the cost of the half-price sunglasses. So I think I can get away with that. And I think it's a good cause, don't you? Because I don't really like fishing nets being discarded, particularly since picking one up on the way from Antigua to Montserrat with my grandson Ben. We were motoring along, minding our own business, just short of the harbour, and there was suddenly a great big bang and the engine stopped. And I went over the side and found this enormous, I mean it must have been 30 feet long. There's a picture of it on the blog. If you go to oldmansailing.com/Montserrat. Now Montserrat is spelled Montserrat. And underwater picture there. It's a great big thing. So I'd be very pleased to wear sunglasses made out of old fishing nets. They're much better use for them. And the other thing I've been lambasted for is selling hats. This is the ghastly camouflage hat that nobody wanted, and as you see it has Old Man Sailing and the little drawing of the little old man. I did the drawing years and years ago, and he's actually up on the sail. Can you see him right up there? He's on the sail, he's on the bow of the boat, and he's on the sail cover. I'm just looking up there. We've got the Irish courtesy flag. I've got to take that down. We're not in the Irish waters anymore. So I'm going to take that down, swap the Ocean Cruising Club burgee from the port cross tree to the starboard, because that is the etiquette. Because being a British vessel, I will not be flying a courtesy flag from the starboard. Courtesy flag must be on the starboard side, and it must be the highest flag on that halyard. So it must be well, it should never be flown at the same time as the yellow Q flag, which is what you fly saying my vessel is healthy and I require free pratique. French being the diplomatic language. A lot of people fly the courtesy flag and the yellow flag together, one above the other, or other above the one, and that's all wrong. No, can't do that. There's nothing worse than being an old man sailing, because you get very pompous and set in your ways and disapproving of people doing it any other way. I don't like that at all. I wouldn't do that. So, yes, the hats. This is the camouflage one, as I said. Nobody wanted it when we took the family photograph, so I ended up with it. And you can get much nicer ones, different colours. And you can also get them with just a little drawing of the man with a circle around him. If you don't want to identify as an old man sailing. Certainly I don't. So, you can tell by my little cough. I've now been speaking for the best part of an hour, and I think that's enough. And I think there's a beer calling me down there. And thank God the wind has come back. Isn't it wonderful after a long, long calm when the wind comes back? And you know, I've got Hawkins here. Hawkins is the wind vane. Oh, and now we're moving. I should put the Watton Sea down. The Watton Sea is the white propeller next to it. That makes electricity. And I'm short of electricity because even though I have been running the engine, when they changed the engine, somehow they didn't reconnect the DC-DC charger, which enables the battery start the engine start battery, once it's full, to divert the charge to the lithium house bank. And so I'm getting a little bit short, especially since I've been mucking about with the water maker, making lots of water, emptying it out, trying to lighten the tank and all that sort of thing. So I think I will put the Watton Sea down. I would film it for the Old Man Sailing Book Club video, but can you believe this? I have 2 GoPro cameras. Neither of them will charge. There's nothing wrong with the chargers because they'll charge the phone, but they won't charge the Bluetooth, the GoPros. So I don't know what I'm going to do for the video, because the whole point of the book club is the reading, not the video. So I think what I'll do is I'll just stick a picture up and just read it anyway, because I've got to do that sometime before too long, because that's got to be up first thing on Sunday morning. And if there's any justice in the world, I'm going to be at a party on Saturday night. I wonder if I can make it. I got, what did I say, 175 miles to go. Oh no, 125 miles to go. And slightly less than 24 hours. It could be done. I mean, I've done 125 miles before. And if we were to get the tide round Land's End and the Lizard, that would help. Be a tight thing anyway, one way or another. But I think I'm going to call this a day, because don't forget, I've already said it all once to nobody. Can't believe that, can you? Oh dear. Anyway, until next week, just before I go, I am writing all this stuff in detail on the real ocean experience, no, the full ocean experience it's called, which you can find. You can either go to the blog and you can find it there, or you can go directly to buymeacoffee.com/oldmansailing. I've already written yesterday's, that's up there already, and today's is going to be much bigger because it's a full day instead of just the end of the day. Anyway, I think it's worth it. Do have a look. Till tomorrow, next week. Goodbye. How do I turn off? Oh, there it is.